6 weeks ago, I had 30 subscribers, mostly friends, and about 200 views in total. Today, well, you can see for yourself, those numbers have gone up a bit, way more than I ever expected. And that's thanks to you lovely people who've watched, commented, and clicked all the buttons. So a massive thank you to each and every one of you. Welcome back to the channel if you've been here before. If you're new, welcome. My name's Tony, and today I'm going to talk about YouTube. I feel like I've arrived at a bit of a YouTube crossroads, so I think it's a perfect time to talk about this whole experience, how I got here, what I've learned so far, and where this channel is heading. Because much as I'd love to pursue the Irish history topic, I think I'm going to shift away from that, at least for now. And obviously there's a lot to say potentially about making YouTube videos. There are plenty of great channels out there offering advice on that. So as always, I'm just going to share a few insights from my own experience as a new YouTuber over 40. You right down there, Sadie? Recently, someone's used my channel name and profile picture. The joys of YouTubing. Hang on a sec. Wearing my finest crappy old tracksuit bottoms because I didn't think they'd be on camera, you see. Where was I? Okay, first up, a quick but important warning. If you ever see anyone in the comments claiming to be me and asking to chat with you on Telegram or any other platform, that's a scam. Ignore it completely. Recently, someone's used my channel name and profile picture to try and run one of these "you've won a prize" cons. So just to be very clear, I would never ask you for money. I would never request personal details. I do not run competitions or giveaways. I would never contact you directly other than to reply in the comments. And I don't use any other social media platforms. So if you see anything suspicious, it'd be great if you could let me know in the comments or by email, and then just ignore it. So unfortunately, as we know, scams like this are the dark side of social media. But like all technology, social media is just a tool. And as long as you're savvy, I think the positives far outweigh the negatives. That's why we're all here, right? So if you've been thinking of starting a YouTube channel, here's the key takeaway. Go for it. Don't let fear hold you back. And by fear, I mean self-doubt, insecurity, whatever you want to call it. Because even if you think you might fail, you'll gain so much more than you expect. You'll grow your confidence, you'll develop new skills, and find a whole new way of expressing yourself. It took me over 10 years to get started on YouTube, and my biggest regret so far is not starting sooner. The first time I considered it was actually back in around 2009 when I was doing my yoga teacher training, and my then boyfriend suggested I start posting videos. I remember him so clearly saying, "The future is YouTube." So we filmed a session one afternoon in a local studio, and we got home and I watched it back, and do you know what I did? I forced him to delete it, the whole lot. Why? Because I hated how I looked on camera. And I didn't want the boyfriend to be in control of the process. I wanted to do that for myself, but I lacked the confidence with technology, so it just never happened. And imagine where I could be now if I'd hopped on that YouTube yoga bandwagon 15 years ago. And I thought about it again a few years later when I was teaching English in Vietnam. And one day I did a lesson on different jobs, and at least half the kids said that when they grew up, they wanted to be a YouTuber. And I was so naive, it never even occurred to me that you could make money on YouTube. And then my knee-jerk reaction was to roll my eyes. But then I thought, actually, that's really cool. Anyway, I told myself I was too busy to start my own channel, and a few more years went by and I found myself working as a London tour guide. And again, I thought, oh, should I give YouTube a go? And it's funny because I think some of us are just made with this inbuilt desire to share information with people. But I always convinced myself that I was too busy. And it's true that I was very busy, but was I really too busy? Because I think if I'd looked like Margot Robbie, I may have been a lot more motivated to put myself out there. But the thing is, we all have our insecurities, and there'll always be a seemingly legitimate reason not to start. And let's be real, talking to an inanimate lump of plastic does feel a bit ridiculous. But letting those things stop you from doing something you feel deeply called to do, that's a real tragedy, don't you think? So I finally uploaded my first video in October 2021, and it's because something was different. It wasn't about me. It was about raising money for charity, and it gave me a purpose during a really tough time. But isn't it interesting how things are easier when we frame them as an act of service? But think of it this way, creating is an act of service. With 8 billion other people on the planet, someone somewhere will find value in what you have to offer. Think about how much media we consume. How much media do you consume, relying on other people to keep us informed and entertained? If you feel the urge to create, then I think there's a case to be made that you have a moral obligation to follow through. So whether your style is a bit more rough and ready or polished to perfection, you'll resonate with someone. Anyway, after that fundraiser, I moved to Ireland and disappeared for a few years, and I still thought about YouTube, but this time I knew the timing was wrong. I think you do have to approach YouTube with the right sort of mindset, one that can handle the trolls, because we all know they're out there waiting to pick you apart. But for me, there came a point where I realised how sad it was to let that tiny minority of people control my life, people I'll never even meet. Because the fact is, it doesn't matter who you are or what you're talking about. You could be the sweetest person on earth. You could be Audrey Hepburn, and there'll still be someone out there trying to bring you down. Every single person you can think of who's in the public eye gets trolled. And if they can sleep at night, so can I. So yeah, it does feel quite weird and vulnerable and scary to put yourself out there, not to mention feeling like an absolute numpty when you first start talking to absolutely no one at the other end of your phone. But you do get used to these things a lot faster than you might think. And by and large, people are lovely and supportive and will take the time from their day to say something positive. So around last November, the algorithm started working its magic, and I stumbled upon some videos about YouTubing over 40, and I discovered a fascinating trend. Platforms are promoting older creators because there's a gap in the market. Viewers want relatable content from people with life experience. So I watched a lot of videos from people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even in their 70s and 80s who were finding their YouTube groove, and that gave me the push I needed. So I did something I rarely do. I made a New Year's resolution that 2025 would be my year to give YouTube another try. And I promised myself I'd upload something before March and commit to at least 10 videos across 10 weeks, no matter what. So what actually happened was I filmed hours and hours of footage and edited several videos with very genuine intention of uploading them, but I deleted them instead. Was I being too picky? Maybe, but something about them just didn't feel right. Maybe I was trying a bit too hard to be someone else. But the great thing about making your own videos is that you are in control of the whole process from beginning to end. You can redo them a million times if you want to. So by mid-February, I was finally ready to let go of perfectionism and embrace being good enough. And that's when I uploaded my slow living video, hoping to maybe get a dozen views and subscribers by the end of the month. So imagine my surprise when I checked a few days later and saw over 8,000 views. I nearly fell off my chair. And from there, the numbers just kept going up and up. Now, I'd love to tell you some kind of secret formula, but honestly, it's largely down to luck and timing. See, after that slow living video, the algorithm suggested a few leaving the UK videos, and I thought, well, that's something I know about. And they all seem to be men in their 20s and 30s, and I don't see anyone like me talking about it, so yeah, let's make that the next video. Let's just say it turned out to be a trending topic, and apparently something of a cultural hot potato. But even if my views were just a tiny fraction of what they are, I'd still be here doing this. Because I haven't done my 10 weeks yet. And because when you feel compelled to create something, it doesn't really matter how big your audience is, as long as there's someone out there who appreciates your effort. And it really comes from enjoying the process rather than striving for clicks. Although, clicks are nice too, of course. And finally, let's talk about tech, because I know that can be intimidating. You really only need one thing: your phone. You can even edit on your phone, although personally, being old school, I find that way too fiddly, so I prefer to use my laptop for editing and uploading. So I use an iPhone 13 SE because it was the cheapest iPhone available when I bought it 4 years ago. And my laptop is a MacBook Air from 2020, I think. I bought it secondhand from a reputable refurb company. And so for editing, I just use iMovie, which is the free basic software that comes with Mac. And yeah, I might upgrade one day, but you definitely don't need anything fancy to get started. And if you've watched a few of my videos, you know I'm still getting the hang of things like microphones and sound levels. It's all a work in progress, and that's fine too. Oh, and speaking of sound, this is something I kind of learned the hard way. A quick word of warning about music. Pay close attention to the copyright rules, because those free music sites aren't always as free as they seem. So my two go-to sites for music are Pixabay and Upbeat, which are fantastic and they offer royalty-free tracks, but free doesn't always mean completely unrestricted. So a couple of times YouTube has flagged my videos as having copyrighted tracks on them. Sometimes hours or even days after I've uploaded. So at the very least, you should make a habit to list each track you use in your video description. Many music sites provide a code for proper attribution because it's just good practice and it's a nice way to thank the music creators. And I confess it's something I've been a bit sloppy about, and I'm definitely going to make it a habit from now on. So how about actually using YouTube as a creator? Is it easy? Well, I don't want to sound cruel, but we've all seen content that's made us question the average IQ of the general public. So yeah, it has a pretty user-friendly interface. Now there's potential to get really nerdy about all the stats and analytics, but the basics of just putting a video out there are pretty simple. Now, if you're wondering about monetization, you might already know that you need at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to qualify for that. And I hit those requirements pretty quickly. But for some reason, my watch hours went way over 4,000 before I was invited to be monetized. And I think that's basically because the system isn't fully automated. YouTube does a manual review of your content with real actual humans to ensure that your content follows their policies. So if your watch hours are going up very quickly, then there might be a delay until the YouTube people get round to checking your content. And once YouTube gives you the green light, you're accepted into what's called the YouTube Partnership Program, the YPP. But then you need to link your YouTube channel to something called Google AdSense to get paid. So when people talk about monetization, that's basically what they mean. And here is where I made a small but big and very costly mistake. See, the whole process of YouTube and AdSense and monetization, it's all tied up with Google. You need a Gmail address to set up your YouTube channel, and then you use the same Gmail address to set up your AdSense account. Otherwise, there's a disconnect. Now, this might sound very obvious, but I really messed up because to cut a long, boring story short, I ended up changing my channel name and I created a new Gmail for my contact info. And then when I was setting up AdSense, I accidentally used that new Gmail instead of the original one I'd used to set up my YouTube channel a few years ago. And it was a big mistake. It took me weeks to fix it, and that cost me time, and the time cost me money. Well, you know, it's not like I lost money, but money was there that I could have had, and I didn't. Not that I came to YouTube to make money, but we all know how frustrating it is to see that little carrot being dangled in front of you and then taken away, especially if it's down to your own stupidity. Pro tip, if you set up AdSense, use the same Gmail you used to initially create your YouTube channel. So, should you do YouTube? If you've been thinking about it, then yes, absolutely. Think of YouTube as a really fun playground for developing quite an interesting skill set. Even if your videos don't go viral, you'll learn to tell better stories and get comfortable in front of the camera. You'll sharpen your communication skills, explore creativity, and create something that's uniquely yours. You'll learn some digital technology as well, and just generally improve your confidence. You can delete, refilm, and re-edit as many times as you want. Who knows, it might be the most interesting pet project you've ever started. So what's next for me? Well, it seems that Irish content was very popular, and I really enjoyed making that video about the Stone Fort. However, much as I'd love to continue down that path of Irish history, that's not going to be my main focus for now. And there are various reasons for that. The main one being that those videos are very time intensive. I'm also still in the process of overcoming a driving phobia and need to build up my confidence to go further afield and visit more places. And also because, honestly, I just think I have other things to offer. Insights gained from learning things, usually the hard way. I might throw in the odd road trip, which will really confuse the algorithm, but so be it. But for now, I'm going to shift back towards life stories and lessons learned. And you, my lovely viewer, can take whatever you need from them, whether that be inspiration to try new things or a cautionary tale of what not to do. So that's my YouTube story so far. If you love real, honest conversations about life's mess and magic and everything in between, then stick around. If you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel, tell me in the comments what's stopping you. As ever, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.